So what's your response to someone? I have people sometimes will come up to me at talks and they'll say, look, my niece, he identifies as a girl or she identifies as a boy. What's the kind of advice that you give to people in those situations?
Well, as far as how to deal with it on a really super personal level, I get people asking those questions. I don't even know if I'm equipped to give great advice there, because that is a difficult situation to be in. It doesn't, obviously what I can say is at no point can you participate in this delusion that the person has or encourage it. That's certainly the wrong thing to do.
All right, and then the pushback to that would be, why not when there's a possibility that this person may end up harming themselves? Why not participate in the delusion, at least for a little bit? I could see someone...
Well, I would say, first of all, their real issue, the despair they feel, isn't real. If a boy identifies as a girl and is in despair, seemingly because he's not a girl, well, that's not really why he's in despair. That's not really the issue. The issue is that he's in despair because he is not able to accept himself for who he is. He hates himself for some reason. And so that's what you have to address. You have to get him to love and accept himself. And so anything you do that helps him reject himself and that feeds into that hatred that he has for himself and who he is only going to make the problem worse in the long run. So I think that's what we have to do. If someone comes to you and says, I don't want to be myself, I wish I was this thing over here, I think the last thing in the world we should say is, okay, well, yeah, you can be that.
Yeah.
Like, no,
you're not that.
You're a boy. A boy who's 8-year-old boy who's going to his parents and saying, I'm a girl. The message is, no, you're a boy. It's a wonderful thing to be a boy. It's a great thing. And let me help you see that.
Where do you think this thing ends? Because I've occasionally, when I glance at your Twitter feed, I'll see that you will kind of retweet absurd things that are taking place, like these drag queen shows in libraries or story time things they do. You posted about this the other day, about a group of degenerate parents who are all sitting around why that man who was dressed like a woman was kind of dancing in a sexually provocative way before, I think it was a girl.
Yeah.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
Do people kind of gradually start waking up and being like, yeah, this is crap? Like, maybe gay marriage and maybe all this stuff is awesome, but this, we got to turn this back? Or does this, it feels like people are just kind of running for the finish line at this point, that there's going to be nothing that turns the tide?
Yeah, I don't know. I would hope that some, I think that you do see some of that. There are some people on the left, and you see relatively high profile examples of this online sometimes, of people on the left saying, okay, this is too much even for me. We gotta step back from this. There was even a video, I don't know who it was, but it was a lesbian woman on internet who has some kind of following, and she posted a video recently about why she's basically leaving the left, even though she agrees on so many of these issues, but it's just too much, like drag queens with kids. No, come on. So I think there's some of that, but I don't know if I have much optimism that it's really going to catch on, because one of the issues is that there's so much power, cultural power behind this.
That's right. Yeah. Sorry to cut you off.
Well, no, it's just the media, Hollywood.
Yeah.
Is bought into it.
That's why I always find it so silly when I hear about these billionaire or millionaire actors and actresses and musicians speaking truth to power when they're speaking to a room filled with people who all agree with their political position.
Right.
And the only consequence is going to be positive for them. We Ubered over here today with a bloke from Ghana, and he said, like, in Ghana, like, the comedians are told what they may not say, what they may say, things like that. You think, we haven't arrived there. So this idea that the conservative movement is the one with all the power, I don't see that. I mean, I see Donald Trump in the Oval Office, but the universities, the Hollywood music industry, this all seems to be far left.
Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't say conservatives have much cultural power at all. In government now, maybe in the White House, and the Republicans had the House and Senate for 2 years, but that only shows to me, yet again, proving that politics is downstream of culture, that actually the government is not what drives the culture, because you could put Republicans in there and it doesn't really make much of a difference as far as the culture goes. It really comes down to Hollywood media, And when I say media, it's not even, people get so focused on bias in the news media as if that's the big problem. No, it's not that. It's really, that, who cares about that? Because when you watch the news that there's bias and everyone knows to look out for it. But it's in the shows that people watch, the music, the messages that are there. That's what can really affect you. And even more than that, it's also in the school system, academia. They're getting to kids at a young age, and they're indoctrinating kids. At a certain point, it's like it doesn't even matter. As adults, we know that this gender stuff is crazy. But the left knows, well, it doesn't matter what they think. We're going to get to the kids. If we
do you think it is an
kids,
orchestrated attempt like that, or is it just sort of happening like that?
Relatively orchestrated. I don't think that there's any group meeting in a smoky room to hatch their plan for domination of the culture. But I think it's just understood that we're all on the same page.
Yeah.
And if you got to convert the kids, everybody understands. We understand that. We want to convert. We want to bring our kids up in our faith.
Yeah.
They want to bring They want to bring our kids up in their faith.
Yeah.
And the thing about kids is that, if you tell a 6-year-old that a boy with a penis can be a girl if he wants to be, 6-year-old has no frame of reference. He's going to think, okay, well, that makes a lot of sense. And then he's going to continue believing that into adulthood, unless someone wakes him up to the reality of it. And it's very hard to overcome childhood indoctrination. That's the problem.
Hey, if you enjoyed that clip, you will absolutely love the full interview, so click right there to enjoy the whole thing. Also, a big thanks to these groups who made that interview possible. Learn more in the show notes below about these guys. They're absolutely incredible and honored to have them as sponsors. Oh, and also, if you haven't subscribed yet, click subscribe and then that bell button. That way YouTube will be forced to let you know when we put out more content.